Rob Maaddi joins me now here on the Sports Bash. And as you know, Rob, Brandon Graham out for the season. You just had a conversation with him on the Faith on the Field a couple of weekends ago. He was obviously the heart and soul of this team, Rob. So let's start with that. What is this team losing in the locker room with a player like Brandon Graham no longer on the field?
Man, Mike, Brandon is he's a rare breed. He's one of a kind. He's one of those guys who's always smiling, always joking around. He's the kind of person who walks in a room and you just can't help but feel happier because he really is that guy who always looks to make people around him smile. And his smile's infectious. Whatever he's going through, and we've seen it in the days after this injury, he's putting out positive messages. He's making positive statements. And they're losing a big-time leader who goes out there on the field. And, you know, he's a guy who you hear that cliche term, his motor, high energy. That's BG. He's nonstop all the time, nonstop out there. And he don't stop yapping. We know that. He's one of the best trash talkers in the NFL, and he's always joking around with teammates and media, makes everybody feel good. So they're going to lose a lot. However, knowing him and what he said, he plans to be around. So you may not get him on the field chasing after QBs and forcing some pressures and hurries and sacks. But his teammates are still going to see BG around the building, and he's going to be able to inspire them, encourage them, and uplift them. So that's certainly you're not losing Brandon Graham's presence. You're losing his skill on the field right now.
So how now, in your mind, do we have an answer on how they'll replace him? I mean, he went down in that game. Josh Sweat, 40% of the snaps, more Kerrigan, more Barnett, who will more on him later. Is there a wild card? How do they replace Graham's snaps?
I think right now, I mean, you just gave Josh Sweat that contract, right? So you give him more snaps. You give Ryan Kerrigan more snaps. And Jonathan Gannon, like every DC before him for the past few years, likes to rotate and keep those defensive linemen fresh. And now you're losing a guy in Brandon Graham who was a 50% plus snap guy. So you got to account for that some way. I just anticipate Josh Sweat getting a little bit more action. You sign him to a new contract. You believe in him. You hope in him. You trust in him. You gave him the money. A lot of guaranteed dollars there for Josh Sweat. Go out there, man, and earn the money you just received. But I think Ryan Kerrigan will also see a lot more action. And they're not in a terrible spot depth-wise. Now, you lose Brandon Graham and what he can do on the field. But the fact that you have a Kerrigan, Josh Sweat, and Derek Barnett also in there in that mix where you can use these guys a little bit more. I think the Eagles are okay there. However, there's really no sugarcoating it. It's a big loss, man. It's a major blow to lose Brandon Graham and the other Brandon.
Yes, we'll get into the other Brandon now because Brandon Brooks now, the deal with him is he's not done for the year. He's on the injured reserve. He'll be out for a minimum of 3 games here. So both these guys have a high-impact loss, but it seems that both spots, as you just talked about with the defensive end spot, at least they have an option in this right guard spot. They drafted Dickerson. They have Herbig. They like Driscoll. They can get by with one guy hurt on the line. They can't have what happened last year. So what do they do for Brooks?
Yeah, and that's their strength of this team was both lines, and they won in dominant fashion in week 1 because of that strength up front on the O-line and the D-line, and they lost to the Niners because they were outplayed on both lines. But they're in a spot on the O-line where Landon Dickerson was the 37th overall pick. He filled in for Brooks when he went down, and I don't anticipate him losing out here with a full week of practice to Nate Herbig. I fully expect Landon Dickerson to be the guy who goes out there and plays. And when you invest a 37th overall pick in a player like that, it was only a matter of time when he was going to get an opportunity. First injury, and here it's occurred in week 2. Go out there, and it's time to shine, kid, and it's in the bright lights of Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys, and he's gonna really be indoctrinated into this rivalry very quickly. But I think they can survive for these few weeks, Mike, with Landon Dickerson, and it's only going to help him and the team because he's going to get more experience. But like you said, you can be okay with one. If they start losing other pieces on that O-line, things are going to unravel quickly for this team. And every time we've talked about the Eagles and how well they can do this year, I've highlighted a healthy offensive line could be the difference between 2 or 3 wins. Well, you just lost one key component of that O-line. I don't think they can afford to lose any more, no matter how much experience the young guys have received in the past years, or a couple years.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, Eagles. Now, I think you asked the question to Nick Sirianni, and I, the play call people are going crazy about. It's not so much the play call, so much as the play design. I had a problem with the play design on all 4 of the calls. Like, one guy out, it didn't even look like Hurts knew he was supposed to be out for the pass on that Philly special ripoff play. So all 4 of the plays seemed to not be very well designed in that area. Did you agree with that? And what did he say about that?
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get from him when I asked that question on Monday, Mike, was it appeared to me the pass to Zach Ertz was an only option was Zach Ertz. And then the pass to Greg Ward to Jalen Hurts, he was the only option. And I wanted to follow up, but in the Zoom format, it's hard. It looked like he may have missed the shovel, right?
Yep.
To Zach Ertz.
It looked like the old Andy Reid, inside shovel pass.
The one that Carson threw for a pick, but we'll leave that alone this week in the Indianapolis game. We don't have to go down that road. However, his answer to that question was that, he didn't really say otherwise. He said to Greg Ward, whenever you have a receiver, even though he's got experience as a college quarterback, you don't want to give him too many options. And then he kind of explained the read on the Zach Ertz play and how you look for it, and there's a run and whatever that may be. But yeah, I don't want to, and he's saying you get down to that goal line and you just have that one play. I would like to have multiple options.
Yeah.
Because if your first read is covered, and I know Jalen is an athletic quarterback who can make things happen with his legs, but Mike, you're at the freaking 1 yard line, man. Like, I'm thinking about it now. You're at the 1 yard line. You got 4 cracks at it with Jalen Hurts. Run the damn ball in.
Not to mention, Rob, in my mind, and I think your mind, and most people's mind, I have one of the best offensive line in football. By the way, I just gave my left tackle $80 million. Why don't I try to run behind a 6'8", 385-pound man? Or better yet, give him the ball.
Man, he'll be stiff arming, throwing dudes out of the way like he did on Australia.
Right?
I don't need you to be cute. I don't need you to recreate Doug Peterson and Nick Foles. I know it's his first home game, and I can't believe, as much as Nick Sirianni understands his audience, and he certainly plays to that audience. And I hate the word pander. I think it's overused, and a lot of guys do it in sports. And I think it's just understanding your audience. I can't believe that Nick Sirianni would call a play because it's his first home game and he wants to win favor with the fans.
I think, and see if you agree, I think he said, look, we haven't shown anything. Last week, we didn't take any shots down the field. So this week, let's show them something that we haven't shown at all. And I think he didn't make the adjustment, right?
Yeah, and he was critical of his play calling immediately after the game, and he didn't like his Philly special light play either, and nobody did. I don't think anybody did at all.
Well, I don't know if you heard quick on the radio broadcast. I mean, he called it out immediately. As soon as the guy lined up on the field, he said, this is a razzle-dazzle.
You know what's funny is I'm at the game and I'm listening to the Eagles and they're 3 plays behind on the radio than while you're there. But I still like to listen to those guys. So it gets kind of confusing. But I didn't realize that he picked that out right away. And if he's picking that, if he's seeing that right there, Mike, in the booth, a guy like D'Amico Ryans, who's a darn good defensive coordinator, finally elevated to that spot, he was able to, they didn't bite. They didn't sniff it out. But I think it was not just we identified first and goal at the 1, but the entire game, I didn't like the play calling. When Jalen Hurts completes 12 passes, only 12, against the secondary missing two starting cornerbacks, that ain't good. There's no way around it. That just is not good.
Rob, in the first game, I gave Sirianni a lot of credit for accentuating the positives, putting the guy, the old Andy Reid. I got to do a better job. I got to put. And this time it was true. He did not do a good job of utilizing, the strengths of what he had. And I hope that he learns from that and does a lot of self-scouting and says, all right, I try to be too cute here. I try to do – he's got young guys. You're playing San Francisco. This is a tough team. Ertz, Goddard, 4 targets, not enough.
I don't know how the tight ends disappear, and they just lost a linebacker, one of their starting linebackers when Greenlaw wasn't out there in that game. How do you not use your tight ends in this game a little bit more? Devontae Smith, 7 targets, only 2 catches. I thought it was it was a poor job all around offensively, and it's extremely disappointing. I thought the 49ers would win this game, but I had it 22-20. I thought the Eagles would be able to move the ball a little bit. And for them and they shoot themselves in the foot and all these, the penalties were the lack of discipline was very disappointing, very discouraging. And all of it adds up to me is this is still a bad football team. And that's why after they demolished the Atlanta Falcons in week 1, I was like, let's not get too high, because you take each individual game and you look at it. You played a team that wasn't prepared for you in the Atlanta Falcons, that is the bottom of the NFL. They're not a good football team. And now you face one that's much better, that's depleted by injury, and you can't do much against them, and they lose that football game. The Eagles are what right now, 2 weeks in a 17-game season, they're what I thought they were going to be, a very inconsistent up and down team. But I'm very disappointed after that, because Jalen Hurts, you go 77% back down to 52 in that game. The play calling, the lack of – there's just a lot of things they got to clean up. And now it's Dallas week, Mike. It's Dallas week, and I know people hate the Cowboys. I think they're a pretty good football team, and it could get ugly on Monday night.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dallas's offense is going to be a handful for the defense, which has only given up 23 points the whole season. So we'll see that. I really hope Sirianni makes the adjustments offensively, because that game could have been a lot different had he just kind of called a different game, I think, anyway. But this Dallas team, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Parsons, I think, on Monday night.
Oh, yeah, and I loved him coming out of the draft, and I would not have been opposed to the Eagles. I know they don't do that. They don't take linebackers, and I would not have been opposed to them staying put and taking Micah Parsons had he been able to get to them at 12 rather than moving up to 10. Very interested to see how they use him, how they deploy him. That's the word that people use nowadays. How are you going to use Micah Parsons? And he's such a playmaker, and I think he's only going to get better. They're going to have their hands full. I know you and I will talk about this game a little bit more in depth on Thursday, but this is going to be another tough challenge. And then as you look at the schedule beyond that, right, you look at that schedule, Chiefs, the Eagles may not be facing a winnable game till Halloween, Mike.
Yeah, Dallas, Chiefs, Carolina, whose defense is really good, Tampa Bay, at Vegas. At Detroit's a winnable game. They're pretty terrible.
That's on Halloween, right?
You said Halloween. I thought you said Thanksgiving.
No. Halloween is Detroit. And I think that's – I kind of feel like they'll get a W between now and that game, whether it's Carolina or Tampa overlooking them or coming in on 3 days. I wouldn't put that past the Eagles to find a way there. But
if you were to size up who played better against Atlanta, Philadelphia played better against Atlanta than Tampa did.
yeah, I know. People, I just had a conversation with Matt Ryan about that too. Fate between week 1 and week 2 and what happened and what was the difference for him offensively, and it's going to be tough for this Eagles team the next few weeks, and you're going to learn a lot about Nick Sirianni and how he handled coming off a W, and now how he handles coming off a loss when you're humbled.
Rob Maaddi is brought to you by Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City. Don't forget, Faith on the Field is Saturday at 9 and Sunday at 6:30. And who we got this week?
Well, it's going to be a little bit of a mystery. I'll let you know on Thursday. I've got a couple huge names lined up, but I don't like to announce it till I complete the interview. So they're scheduled for tomorrow, and one of them is a big-time local connection to this Philadelphia Eagles team. So I'll let you know on Thursday, but stay tuned for that.
All right, that's Saturday at 9 and Sunday at 6:30. Rob and Remy do a great job. Faith on the Field. I listened to the Brandon Graham 2 weeks ago. That was really good. Rodney McLeod. Everybody's hurt. You got to get these guys back on the field.
Man, I don't know if I'm a jinx or what though, Mike, because all of my guys, all the guys I end up doing, Faith on the Field or any events with, Carson, he's gone. Jordan Hicks, he's gone. Trey Burton, he's gone. Ben Simmons wasn't a Faith on the Field. I had to sit down with Ben Simmons about a year and a half ago. Look what transpired with him today. And I'll tell you what, if I'm texting you for an interview, guys, I'm not answering my text. I think there's something to the Rob Maaddi jinx.
Woo! Rob Maaddi, Associated Press. We'll be back on Thursday here on the Sports Bash. All right, Rob, take care, man.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, bud.
There goes Rob Maaddi, and he joins us Tuesdays and Thursdays here, thanks to Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.